Setting up the presentation for a young driver. Now, the purpose of this is to give you an idea that young drivers are going to require a lot more service, a lot more knowledge, simply because you need to educate them that they're a high risk, and you need to educate them on why insurance companies will charge them a lot more than someone that's over the age of 25 or the age of 30. So number one, you're going to introduce the justifying factors. You're going to sell the idea that companies consider them as a high risk. So you're going to need to educate them on the concept that is not so much about the companies wanting to charge someone a lot more, is the fact that based on statistics, based on reports, based on evaluations, based on predictions, a young driver is not as responsible as someone that's older, simply because you're not as experienced. Maybe you've been driving for a couple months versus someone that's been driving for 10, 15 years. Also, your mentality as a young driver may not be exactly the same or as mature as someone that's 25, 30. Simply because someone that's 25 or someone that's 30 maybe already went through all these mistakes and all these situations, so their perspective in life, their perspective in driving, their responsibilities in driving are completely different. You're going to need to elaborate that young driver means not a lot of experience, and therefore that equals to a high exposure. Now, exposure technically means that there's a possibility, a higher percentage of a possibility, that a young driver is going to be involved in an accident versus someone that's older. Sell the idea that based on the DMV companies' statistics, young drivers are more involved in accidents than drivers that are older than 25 or older than 30. So these are based on actual statistics and evaluations and conclusions and also analysis. So it's not just based on their age, they want to charge you more. No, it's based on statistics. You need to sell them the idea that it is based on statistics, based on evaluations, not just simply based on the age. The age doesn't really mean much. The driving experience does. The statistics do. So based on those statistics, they consider young drivers more of an exposure, and therefore they lose more money because they pay money out of pocket to cover a claim, cover a loss, or just in case of anything that happens where they're going to have to pay out of pocket, they're losing money. So number two, explain the risk. Explain the risk of not having insurance. Now, you also need to educate them because they may not have a lot of knowledge within insurance. So educate them on a ticket. A ticket is going to cost them $700 to $1,000. Educate them on the fact that the DMV is also going to require the vehicle to be insured. If not, the registration is going to be suspended. Let them know that if they get pulled over, they're going to ask them for two things. An officer is going to ask them for a driver's license and proof of insurance. So literally, they need to have insurance. Also, educate them on the concept of checking their plates. An officer can run the plates and determine if the vehicle has insurance. So all of these are factors that are going to help you sell the benefit of them making a decision today, simply because if they don't, they could just leave and they could get pulled over and they could get a ticket, and it's going to cost them $700 to $1,000. Also, make it tangible. Let them know that as soon as they leave, if they hit a vehicle and they're the ones at fault, they're going to be responsible for the damages. So financially responsible to cover the other vehicle. That's thousands of dollars. If they're not insured and they're involved in an accident, their license is going to be suspended for a year. So there's a lot of legal and financial complications simply because they didn't have insurance. So you're educating them on the risk, but you're also adding urgency, fear motivation, simply because if they don't leave with insurance, they're going to be responsible if something happens. So you're also adding urgency, you're selling the benefit of making a decision by using risk and using fear. Step number three, you're going to sell the company You're going to sell the benefit of getting a policy with us or simply obtaining information from us. Number one, we work with 70 different companies. We actually care about our customers. Our ultimate goal is to help our community. We're technically the neighborhood insurance. We have 3 departments: customer service department, retention department, and obviously 5 offices. So we're technically here to help every single customer. There's no commitment. We offer a lot of information. Sell yourself as well. Let them know you've been doing insurance for quite a while. You're knowledgeable, you're professional. Ultimately, your goal is to find the best solution so that they can leave with insurance. Number 4, explain the one-on-one. Give a full description of all the coverages, of all the benefits, of the pros and cons of each coverage so that they can actually have a full understanding of all the coverages that they have, the coverages that they could actually choose from. Now remember, it's a young driver, so most likely they're not knowledgeable. They don't have a lot of knowledge of insurance. So your goal is to educate them, to give them an abundance of information. So by the time you're ready to give them the options, even if they're not convinced on the price, they're convinced on you. They're convinced on service. They're convinced on the information that we offer. Number 5, you're going to offer the approximate of the monthly payment. And you're going to test them out to see if they're willing, if they like the option, if it seems like something that they're able to pay. Number 6, you're going to add value by using real life examples and urgency and creating stories. So number 6, you're going to add value. Now, when we talk about adding value, you're going to use all the factors, you're going to incorporate all the scenarios, and you're going to elaborate on why they should make a decision. So for instance, if the customer gives you the impression that maybe the approximate, maybe you give them 120 to 150, that the approximate is a little bit too much, you're going to create a story and you're going to tell them, look, I had a customer exactly like you, same age, they were 19, they were 20, and they had the same perspective. The same perspective that the 120 to 150 was a little bit more than what they wanted to pay, a little bit more than what they expected, and they wanted to continue shopping around. Well, guess what? They ended up leaving without insurance. Just within a day or 2 days, they were involved in an accident. They were considered the ones at fault. They ended up suspending the license for a whole year. Now he's responsible to pay $7,000 because that's how much it cost to repair the other vehicle. So suspended license, you got to take it for no insurance. He's responsible to pay the damages to the other vehicle. So financial legal complications for no reason whatsoever. If he would have invested on the 120 to 150, similar to you, if you don't invest on this option and you continue to shop around and you put yourself in this position, you're going to encounter a lot of negatives. It's not worth it. Imagine now he's driving with a suspended license because he came, he purchased insurance, and he was honest and he told me, Rudy, I'm going to continue driving. I need to drive to go to work. And I don't blame him. I would probably do the same thing. I would drive with a suspended license if I had no other alternative. But guess what? There's no reason why you should put yourself in that position. Let's go with the 140, the 120 to 150. Leave with insurance. You can continue shopping around if you want. Every year your payment is going to drop, but at least do the right thing. So adding value, creating a story, making it tangible, using real life examples are technically going to help you because you're going to put the customer in a position where they're going to envision the consequences. They're going to feel the pain, the financial pain, the emotional pain, and they're going to be able to make a better perspective. So once again, number 6, you're going to use real life examples. You're going to add urgency, fear motivation. You're going to create a story. You're going to make it realistic, and that should help you convince them. That should help you on closing the deal. Now, the rest of the steps are practically the same as the majority of the situations. You're going to continue by giving them the exact monthly payment. Then you're going to give them the approximate of the initial payment, the 30-day exposure, the actual justifying down payment, the exact initial payment, option 1, option 2, and then you're going to close the deal. So follow the same system